Testing, testing. Hopefully you can hear me. I'll probably check chat later because I only have one laptop. So this is Crazy House World Championship commentary for the last match of the regular cycle. Blitzbullet against Spinaltap. So Blitzbullet plays the Fianchetto opening, which is very common. I think it's his main opening, or at least the one he's most known for. And then black sets up the knight on e7, so it might go to f5 later and also allows him to play f6. Let me know if the volume is good or not. Oh, also, I'm using push to talk, so I'm too lazy to disable that. So that's what we're going with for now. Testing, testing. Hopefully you can hear me. I'll probably check chat later because I only have one laptop. Oh, bishop takes g3 is interesting. So I guess he wants to weaken this square. Although, because the purpose of winning this pawn, because kicks the knight away. Well, he doesn't have to move the knight, and he doesn't really have any more. Again, just ignore this pawn, wait for capture, take back with the bishop. Should be doing fine. Also, the dark squared bishop's actually pretty important. Now we can see the dark squares in black's camp are a bit weaker. Oh, it seems my internet connection's bad. Oh boy. Oh, just what I want. Oh, hi, just so you. Okay, so it's also interesting because I forgot to split screen, so I have to like click back and forth between the windows. I don't really see Twitch chat right now. Anyways, okay, so white's like has a very comfortable position here. Generally in Crazy House, you want a safe king, and with this many diagonal pieces, bishops and pawns in front of the king, it's like you're not going to get attacked soon. Maybe on the black side, you can see there's some holes, and this pawn is weak. White might be able to. White might be threatening like bishop at h7 check and try to win the pawn on g6. While also threatening this pawn on e6, so how can black defend both threats? Well, maybe you can put a bishop on f7. But even if he puts a bishop on f7, then knight takes, and then bishop takes pawn. It's the queen for it, which also makes sense. Queens aren't that important in Crazy House. Okay, they are somewhat important, but the position's more close and they're not too important. Okay. So he's pushed off the first wave of the attack. And now white has an extra queen. So I think material count-wise, it's queen for a knight or a minor. So minors are worth 2 points and queens are worth 4 points in Crazy House. So white's slightly ahead here. Also, white's up like 1 minute on the clock. It's going to be pretty significant when they get down to the time screen. Okay, so black is now finally penetrating into the light squares, but And the time that it takes black to get white already has a queen on g6 and is threatening the knight at h6 with a smothered mate idea. Knight at h6, king h8, queen at g8. Oh, actually that doesn't work. One sec. Let me calculate. It's annoying. I thought it works. Well, I could do like bishop takes d5 here, and then like if he takes the queen, then queen at g8, and then knight at f7, or just knight at f7 immediately. Okay, so he does the same idea with this move because now for sure now black can't take back with the knight, so then he has to take back with the rook. So this is a real smothered mate threat. Yeah, so it should be pretty over. Okay, let me check Twitch chat again. Okay, so that was game one. Oh, I just noticed that this logo thing that I thought looked cool covers the queen, so let's just hide this. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so we have the second game, and once again he sets up a Fianzhou because, I mean, blitzbullet. Of course. In Bug House, you would want to play this a lot earlier, but in Crazy House, you can wait until... Because white doesn't really have a threat of getting a pawn right now. And even if white gets a pawn and you go back, white needs like a second pawn here to do real damage. But okay, this looks similar to the last game, except the white pawn's on c4 instead of c2. If you think of like the colors reverse. So that means that white can get an extra pawn in hand to maybe drop on like g5, while black could get an extra pawn in hand to drop on h3. Also, I've given up reading chat because, okay, maybe I should figure that out instead. I wish I had like a phone or something. Oh yeah, you can like pull up the stream on phone, right? Let me try that. It'll take a while. Is that what people do usually? So usually black has like the more solid king, but white has more space and more activity. You can see from these pieces. Oh, he just missed it. Oh, that's a blunder. So now with the king in the center, blitzbullet will try to open the position. So this makes sense. This could also be an idea later, as well as like a pawn on b4 to drive this knight away, or on h4. Oh, actually no. It's nice. Okay, so I have the chat open, but I can't read it on my phone. What is this? Oh no. Okay, well there's a lot of strong Crazy House players in chat, so that are stronger than me. So hopefully I can cover stuff that I miss. So black has a queen, but it doesn't seem apparent how to break in just yet. But also, since the king is pretty safe, white doesn't really have an easy way to get in either. So black should be like pretty comfortable here. Although this could become annoying. White could have pawn drops here or something. Well, he might be able to get away with sacking the rook. So there's no mate threat yet because the king can hide safely on h8. White needs at least like a rook or a queen to have serious chances. Oh, okay, unless... Yeah, okay, so he sacks the rook, and then but he takes that. So now, if black takes this, the position's somewhat safe. But also, black can just leave the pawn here, because after takes, there's no immediate like checkmate. But now after this, white can go knight at e6, which could be or not. White instead chooses to set up a... Okay, so if black took with the rook, then white could drop a bishop on e6, but I think that's more preferable to this. This looks pretty iffy. Unless his attack lands in time, which could also be the case. So how many tempi does black have? Black has one free tempi, because white needs one move to start an attack. So black has to find something either immediately or go back and defend this threat of knight takes f8, and then bishop at g8, and then like rook at h7. It's not immediately apparent how. Yeah, so okay, so blitzbullet gives his queen. Although, yeah, he has to be on the defensive now. Oh, chat pop out. Oh wait, I can. Oh, I'm so dumb. I know what that is. Okay, give me one moment. Sorry. Oh, that's why that's an option. Makes so much sense. Wow. Okay. I see the activity feed. Wait, what? Where's the chat? No. Uh, I lost the chat. Okay, I give up. This is too hard. What happened here? Sorry, give me. Okay, so black defends because the queen is a really good defender. And then... But I don't think there's enough material to attack. Still. So black still has a decent advantage here, I think. This is a sneaky move. It threatens knight takes g5 and bishop g8. White can even drop a bishop on e6 to do the same thing, and he does that. Yeah, it seems that blitzbullet has run out of pieces. Rook e2 takes knight 3, but then back. And then... Yeah. And also note that black can't even activate the queen to aid in the attack. So this is pretty much over. Wow. Strong resilience by Spinaltap. I mean, he can even take here if he wants. I don't think he has any. Oh no, yeah, that's not gonna work. Okay, well, I was able to pull up the Twitch chat from my phone, so I can sort of read the messages. Oh, Katask, Jasuki, okay, and some others. Wait, no way, is he actually? Wait, what? How? Oh, oh my goodness. He's a pawn short. King b1, king c1. Oh, oh no. Ah, if you went pawn at c3 though. That was also not mating. Okay. It's one of those situations where you blame your partner for not giving a pawn instead of giving check in Bughouse. Okay, so now the score is 1-1. Both players are on the board. Blitzbullet opts for the exact same opening because it worked last time. Spinaltap chooses a different setup. So this time, instead of playing 97, he brings the knight to f6 and then to e4 and then sacks it on g3. I don't think this is actually that good for black, but I could be wrong because I never looked up the engine. Oh, I disabled smash on this. I don't. I tried to set up stream elements because my title has an exclamation mark in it, but I don't think it works. So I'll have to figure that out later. Okay. Yeah, and this is the reason I don't think it's good, because the knight actually covers all the dark squares. Most importantly, it attacks the pawn and the bishop, so white gets at least something back. Ah, black has nothing to show for sacking a knight and a bishop. Like, black can't even play pawn at g3 because white's standing to put the bishop here and win back a pawn. So I think white's doing very well here. Like, it might look like there's a bunch of schools, but they're all covered by these pieces. The only risk is like if white is too casual and trades too many pieces, then there might be an issue. But it seems pretty winning for blitzbullet. Jan Lee is I think it was like 2250 FIBE. He could get the CM title if he wanted to, but he has the LM title, which I think is better. Okay. Step one of getting into the position is to sack a piece to get some pawns. So now black's king is a bit open. And material count-wise, we see white has an extra pawn, because there's missing 2, but white has 3 pawns. So white's a pawn up. Which doesn't mean too much. White gets pawns to place on, like, to cover these dark squares. White could drop a pawn here, or white could put pawns for offense. White chooses to play e3. One of the hidden purposes of this move is to stop black from dropping any piece on e3. Like, black was threatening, say, like bishop takes and then knight at e3 or something. That could be pretty annoying. So shows up pretty often that you can stop certain threats by putting your pieces on those squares. Okay, both sides fortify their positions. Will probably be met by rook b1, unless he has like knight takes h6 or something idea in mind. Oh, could go like takes and pawn at g4. I don't know how good that is. Oh, he does with that. Yeah, so he sacrifices the queen, but is threatening to put a pawn on g4, so he has to take the queen. Now what does white get for the queen? White gets 2 minors, I think, after like takes. So that's an even trading crazy house. In normal chess, you'd be like, why am I giving my queen for 2 minors? Yeah, this is a pretty strong move because black's threatening knight at f3 check. Or black will feel a bit more comfortable knowing that white does not have any heavies in hand to drop with. But even though the king looks pretty open, it's not really a risk of getting mated here. Yeah. I think they stopped giving out Lichess Master like last year. Something I don't keep up with that because I don't have one. I just remember hearing that they stopped doing it at some point. And so somehow it feels like blitzbullet is running out of material again. Wonder how that happened. Maybe it was a bit too. Maybe he sacked too much. Because like visually from this point, white doesn't really have enough mating material. Well, he has 12 seconds on the clock, but Spinaltap has a queen, enough minors, the same number of minors as white, and 2 more pawns. 4 more pawns. Like pawn g4, of course. Or even pawn g3. Oh, takes. Oh, is there a mate? Oh. Okay, well, he does have to watch out for time. Like, there's no way he loses this. Okay, so now these are mined square. Oh, sorry. This is a mined square because white will be able to take the queen with check. So white wants to somehow drive the black king to that square. And white has 4 pawns and a bishop, so pawn g6, pawn f5. He can't go here, he can't go here, so he has to go like here. And then pawn g6. He has to go up. And so pawn g6, he goes up. Bishop g7, he has to go up. And then pawn g4, he goes up, so that doesn't work. I mean, he can bring the knight back. No, that doesn't work either. Seems surprisingly the king is safe on h4. Oh, that is so unlucky. It's always nice to be on the side that has a lot of extra pieces and a very active king. Your opponent needs 1 pawn to mate, or like 1 thing to mate, but they just don't have it. Yeah, king h4, and he's just totally safe. Okay, white's not mated yet, but white won't be mated very soon after, like, okay, so rook d2 is forced, but now, like, knight h3, pawn h2, rook g1. Wow. Okay, so Spinaltap takes the lead, 2-1. blitzbullet opts for the exact same opening as he did the previous game with the same pieces because he was doing better there. He just like messed up. So this is the exact same setup as the previous game with colors reversed, except instead of the knight being on a b1, it's on c3 now. So you can sort of see like. So last game he opted for a knight take g6, but it didn't work out well because of knight at h4. Or take knight at h4. So a common idea of this V and shadow setups is because this bishop can be really annoying, you want to trade it off with this knight. And also like this knight on c6 doesn't really do anything with the pawn on d4 blocking its moves or possible moves. Anyway, so white sacks on g6 again. I don't think this is good. After bishop at h5, white is forced to sack the queen. Well, actually, it's probably better to not take the queen, because this bishop can be useful for defense. Okay, but he takes the queen anyways, which is also fine. So now black gets an extra queen for the 4th game in a row. Oh, hello BMW. I did not notice. And hi Goose Strava. Sorry, I'm not paying that much attention to chat right now. Okay, so black has the extra queen, but black also has some white scored holes that showed up earlier because white sacked a piece on g6. So common threat is like pawn h7 and then rook g8. Take, and then pawn h7 and knight f7 or something, but it's not immediately mating yet because white only has one rook. So blitzbullet decides now is the time to counterattack. Now you can see how many white's pieces actually cover these light squares. Only this bishop that he just placed. Like this knight doesn't do anything. This dark squared bishop is the wrong color. The light squared bishop and the knight that white used to have, like white could go knight h4, but these two pieces got traded off on g6. Okay, so now blitzbullet takes another pawn. More diags. White takes on d5. You cannot take back on d5 because of pawn h7 and rook at g8. So this knight is stuck. Now actually also means white's actually threatening to take on f6, and that would be mate. I'm generally not that comfortable with allowing a pawn on g6 to live here for so long. It looks really scary. Maybe it's okay. Like, if this pawn was here and I had a bishop, I would be trying to play like bishop here and then take the pawn, or just like somehow get rid of it, like pawn at h7 even. That could be a move here. And he does play it. It's just to stop white from dropping a pawn on h7. Or when white takes, you can go king h8, and then if white drops a rook here, you can take on h7, or something like that. Oh, wait a second. Wait, this is losing. Wait, what? How did that happen? Oh no. Oh, this is really bad. So here we have a common idea of like white drops a rook here and then like just tries to recycle all the heavies off the back rank. Heavies are rooks and queens. And then like drops pawns here. So white needs enough pawns to be able to do this. Rook g8 takes, pawn f7, and then if king moves, rook at g8 again. This is a very common idea in Crazy House. Okay, so now he's on the run. Wait, what? Wait. Why don't he play like bishop d5 or something? Just try to like get more pieces, because now it doesn't feel like he has mate. Oh, okay, he can't get away with that. Can he? Okay, I guess it would be more risky if like why wasn't this safe? Hmm. That would have been more scared. Like sometimes there are some tricks with like knight at e2 or knight at f3 and look somewhere, or just try to distract all the defenders. Now black has a dilemma. There's a bunch of pieces, but the king is pretty unsafe. Right? You can't take the bishop because white threatens to go queen e6 check and rook c8. Yeah, black just has to resign. Wow. Okay, this is very different from when I play blitzbullet. When I play blitzbullet and he plays the Fian Shadow setup, his king is very safe the whole game, and I get mated. Okay, anyways, the score is 3-1 in Spinaltap's favor. Okay, so seeing that blitzbullet's pet line does not work, he switches to e4. So this is also a common line. This move, black is okay with giving up the knight for the pawn because the pawn will control these two squares. It's a common opening. And this is where my knowledge of the opening ends, because I don't play e4. So this is all new to me. I'll just be watching in silence. No, just kidding. Oh, well, but yeah, this is new to me. So it seems black has a pawn and white gets a knight. The knight placement feels sort of awkward. Like without this knight e2 move, black could be like threatening to drop a pawn on f4 to attack one of these knights. Although black takes the knight and white takes back, having a bishop on e3 is good for defense because it will cover the f2 squares. It won't cover all the dark squares. Katask says Baby is playing too aggressively. Yeah. I feel like that's his style though. Like he's generally an aggressive player. He's always good at he's good with initiative and like playing on the limits of king safety. Like between having a safe king and getting checkmated. Okay, so white has a bunch of knights, but usually with knights you have to be worried about these dark squares that are like a diagonal off from the knight. And they're very hard to control. Like this queen, you can't even kick the queen out. It gets annoying sometimes. It's like the one weakness of knights. So black wants to play pawn at f4. So white could go like knight c2 and trade off the knight for it, which is probably bad. So he goes queen g4 instead. But this hangs a d pawn. So like trade queens and then take d4. Am I missing something? Oh, and then white has a okay. So long variation. Take, take, take. And then white can drop a queen on e4, forking the knight. You might think, oh, black can defend this with queen at d7. But then white takes. And then drops the queen back on a4. Oh, or black could go knight back. I totally missed that. Whoops. But even then, white still has a good and strong initiative. White can continue with like bishop a6, attacking this pawn, and trying to remove the defender of the knight. What is this? Wait, doesn't this blunder? I'm missing something. Maybe he's like, okay, you can take that, but I'll gain some tempo on our queen. Right? You have to go queen back, and then I might go like rook d8. No, but rook d8 is bad. Or he wants to go like pawn at f2, but I mean king d1. No, I don't know. Normally knight c6 and bishop b5. I don't know where that was, but I can go look back at it later. King e7. This is interesting. So sometimes you don't have to take the piece because this pawn also covers the important square g7. So like let's say here, black took and went king e7. Then in the future, white might be able to drop with his own pawn on g7, and this can get really annoying for this rook. So okay, doesn't take. Also, since he doesn't take, this knight on g4 is a bit less useful than it would like to be. Yeah, that's fine. Here I think white can take and go like knight takes e4. Doesn't even need to do that though. Okay, so let's save this queen. Okay, so now black can't play king d7 because knight e5. So white can actually drop a pawn on d7 here, and black cannot take it because of losing the bishop or losing the queen. Of course, after a pawn at d7, black could go king d8 though, so it's not much of a threat. Visually looking, what do we have? White has a pawn here. Material is not equal. White is actually up a knight after the end of all this. And white also has, or had, none of black's pieces are on white side of the board. This king looks a bit open, but these squares are covered by this knight. So let's say white's doing well here. Now we'll come play queen b5 here and try to trade queens. Actually, that might be suicide. No, that is suicide. Never mind. So black wants white to take on c5. Why does black want white to take on c5? Well, maybe because there's a knight f3 idea. And then followed up by like a queen at e1 idea or something. But that doesn't really work here because black doesn't have enough pieces. At least I think black doesn't have enough pieces. Okay, both players are going below 20 seconds, or approaching the 20-second mark, so there's going to be a time scramble. Wait, what? Okay, I'll ignore that one. I didn't see anything. So, yeah, white to move here. Okay. Oh no, the stream paused? Wait, am I still streaming? Hopefully I am. Okay, blitzbullet wins anyways. Also note that, wait, let's see. I think he did develop his rooks or his bishops that game. So yeah, development isn't like too important. You don't need to get all your pieces out. It's good to get some though. Okay, blitzbullet goes into the fianchetto for the third time because he won a game, so now he's more confident. He instead of going knight c6, this time he goes knight bd7. So now he doesn't have this idea. He's probably going to trade the knight off. And also this doesn't obstruct his c1. So this stops Spinaltap from sacking on g6. And also threatens to win this pawn. So now we have two attackers. and one defend. And white drops a knight here to defend. Black can drop a knight here to attack. So usually in exchange for this pawn, white tries to win this pawn, like maybe like bishop e2, knight takes, or something. Or at least I think that's what white would do. Okay, thanks. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think the last game was, I think it felt pretty one-sided the whole match. Someone in chat's asking, is that not the only way to define? Yeah, but I mean, you can overload. Oh, and even here now, bishop e2 doesn't attack the knight, so black can actually play bishop e6, and yeah, he does play bishop e6. Because now he doesn't have to trade these two pawns for each other. And then Spinaltap sacks on h6, okay, to fortify this, because usually if white were to attack, one of the common attacking methods with the dark squares is to drop like pawns on e5, f6, and to get in like this way. It's sort of like a foothold in the position. Although I don't think it's that good. Like, I mean, maybe d4 here, maybe. Could be considered at some point. Just try to like pressure this whole like pawn structure. Or it's not really a pawn chain because it's slant. It's like a zigzag, so I don't know what to call it. And after knight g5, black's now pretty happy. So you can see, generally with these Fian Shadow setups, sometimes you'll have bishops instead of pawns, but this is black still maintains like 5 pawns around his king, and white has nothing. And after the end of all of this, black's up a pawn. 9 pawns to 7 pawns. Yeah. So white's just slightly worse, or not slightly. Spinaltap will have to fight to get an advantage in this game. Although, okay, his king's safe too, for now. One of the, just looking at this king position, right? White's dark squares are pretty well defended because of this bishop, so it makes more sense to try to go in with the light squares. So blitzbullet drops a pawn on e4, and then in the future he might drop one on like f3 or h3 with both. Meanwhile, Spinaltap is trying to get some diags of his own, I assume. Yeah, even sacks here to open up e6 so he can drop like a bishop check. But he doesn't have to take. So here, he can just keep going with his attack. This e6 pawn is actually a really good defender of the e6 square, so it prevents white from dropping like a bishop or a pawn on e6. Oh, that's nice. White wins a pawn with tactics. Bishop at h3 is also like a very common move in Crazy House that you'll see to defend the g2 square, but also to prevent drops on h3. So that's a nice move as well. So Spinaltap has gotten a few pawns, but his king's under attack. So we'll see he ignores this, because if he takes, then that's when blitzbullet would be able to maintain the initiative. Or he's trying to regain control of the initiative, but blitzbullet for now is still the one that's attacking. This bishop will cover this h3 square, so white isn't checkmated yet. He lacks one pawn for the 2 knight and pawn checkmate, like knights on h4 and f3, and the pawn on g2. So he'll have to wait for that. Knight g5 is a good double-purpose move because it covers these squares and also controls h3. Okay, so now he has enough pawns or diags, but he doesn't have enough knights. Oh, he can take on here. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. And knight f3 is unstoppable. Or, okay, stoppable, but he wins c6 instead. And my internet is loading, so be right back. Please load. Please. Wait, why is the internet this bad? Okay. I forgot what's push to talk. Oh no. Hopefully I didn't. Hopefully I didn't cut out too much. Anyways, yeah, material is equal, but actually black has the upper hand here because look at these kings. Like this king is right next to all these pieces that cover all the squares around the king. Oh, this king is pretty open. Bishop g5 is nice though. You get a tempo on mate threat, and you open this rook up to cover the back rank. Ah, yeah, sorry. Next time I do this thing, I won't put. I'll disable push to talk. Because my finger is just holding down the T button. Or T key. And I will continue to do so for the next 30 minutes to an hour. Oh boy. Oh, this is a nice move. So black, this is a tactic, right? So black wants to win this rook. And if white took the pawn, black would be able to go queen at g4 check. And then white has to go king back. And then black can drop a new pawn on g3 and win the rook anyways. So white has to take a bishop here. So now black can sort of like exchange the bishop or rook in quotes. And also this pawn is really close to promotion, so black could drop a rook on g1 sometimes. Or possibly, or like a queen, and then play like h1 queen or something. So now the question is whether, so white doesn't set up something fast enough, then black probably will get to promote this queen. Like queen h3 here, rook f1, and then h1 queen. But white does seem to be setting up stuff fast enough. Okay, so here, yeah, if white blocks the check, then black can play rook at f1. Oh. No, black cannot play rook at f1. Well, white is a knight. So now white's out of, like, white only has diags left. So there's a, like, knight at g7 check. Sorry, oh, by the way, let me know if the sound's working again, because I don't actually have the stream on. Why is my stream preview lagging? Is that just my bad internet, or? Okay, well that's a nice save from blitzbullet. Not sure where Spinaltap went wrong there. Okay, so now the match score is now 4-3 in blitzbullet's favor. And my internet was lagging, so we've caught up to the current position just now, and it looks exactly the same as game 6, except white took with the bishop instead of the pawn. The reason for this was, of course, because we saw that white lost the pawn with knight g4. Okay, but the bishop's a bit less threatening than the pawn because now there's not as much dark square pressure. The bishop's the only source of dark square pressure for the black king side. So black plants a knight on h4, could be sacked on g2 later. Also covers f5. So if like takes, then black gets a tempo in the pawn. Oh yeah. Okay, pointed out. Yeah, this is the match for the last candidate. So this is like the last match of the whole regular cycle, but exactly one of these two people is going to be the 13th candidate for the upcoming candidates. Was it like Crazy House World Championship Candidates Cycle Series Round Robin? It's Round Robin for sure, but I don't know the official name. And then one of those 13 people will be lucky enough to challenge Jasugi, who's in the chat, or was in the chat, for the title of 2021 Crazy House World Champion. There are some other candidates in the chat. Also, I somehow made it. I did not expect to make it, but here we are. Okay. C6 is typical. Like in general in the openings, you're told not to push your c pawn because it weakens the c7 square. But here white can't really make use of the c7 square, so then it's a very nice move to restrict this knight. This is also common in normal chess where white just doesn't have the possibility of dropping on c7 at all. Okay, so white drops the bishop on h3 again. The normal, typical way to defend g2 and also cover this diagonal. So now with the king side pretty much locked, blitzbullet turns to the queen side to get activity. It's sort of like thinking of waiting moves, because at some point in these sort of positions, when you place all their pieces, the position feels a bit stuck, and it's hard to make progress. Not only do these pieces have offensive purposes, but they also have defensive purposes as well. So black is the first to release the tension. Whether this is good or bad will be determined soon. I think white's position is preferable because white has the bishop pair, or okay, not really a bishop pair, but like this bishop covers the light squares, and it's also really well placed on h3, and this bishop is well placed on like g3 or e5. And meanwhile, black's knights look really nice, but they don't accomplish anything, and they're also not as able to attack white's bishops or drive them out. So now with the extra material in hand, white gets to play this and wins black's queen for a bishop and a pawn. But since the bishop really is closed, then the queen doesn't actually... It's not a game-ending loss, or what do you call it? It's not game-ending to lose your queen like that. Because, I mean, the king is so safe. So white's points of entry here could be like a pawn drop on e6. Let's try to sort of get into position that way, or knight on e7, or knight on h5 maybe, now that there's a knight on g3. But black has a much easier time getting into the position. Although the question becomes whether or not blitzbullet will have enough mating material. So here he grabs a pawn, and he'll grab one of these knights for sure. Although this is a nice move to get pawns. Another way white can invade the position is through the back rank. Though white will need some tempi to do it. Hi, Crazy. CR7 Fanatic. And Todd. Sorry, yeah, I'm not reading chat that much because I sort of messed up chat pop out and now I don't see anything. And this takes up the full screen. And I'm sad. Okay. What's happening here? So yeah, we can see even though black lost a queen, I mean, this king is so safe that blitzbullet will still have initiative, and this is pretty annoying to face because white definitely doesn't want to go queen back to e1 when black's king will be safe forever, and white will have to defend for like the rest of the game. But at the same time, after sacking the queen, there's not a clear way into the position. So like here, bishop takes f2 is a strong threat because, well, how do you defend knight takes g3? This is also good because stops white from dropping a knight on e2. Now bishop. Or I like this better, but maybe white's fine still. Okay, but yeah, because of e2, all of a sudden white has the initiative again. Although it may not count for much, but still something to look out for. Unless black has mate here. Could also be possible. I missed. Oh, yeah, there's mate. Rook g1 takes knight f2, king h2, knight g4. Should be mate. Question mark. Alternatively, black could try rook h2 and bishop at g1, and then white has to take. And then take, pawn h2, and then if king takes, so there's multiple possibilities, which is why he's not exactly sure which one. This one feels the most natural, but you do give up a knight and a rook to get into the position. So we'll see whether this works or not. I think it should. Yeah, so now if white blocks, black will get to place like a bishop on e1. Because the rook's pinned. And then if white runs, black gets to place a pawn on f2, and then the pawn will promote. Or this, because after takes, there's bishop takes g3, and wait a second. Oh no. Oh, it doesn't look like there's mate. Okay, there's rook h1 and queen c1, but no follow-up if white drops two bishops. Oh no. Yeah. There's. I think pawn f2 was the way to go. And like if king here, you can promote to a knight and then go like. Actually, I'm not sure. Oh, there had to be something there. Huh. Okay, well, since they haven't started the next game, let's take a quick look. I don't know. I'm not gonna. Okay, I guess I'll click on the analysis board and see what this does to my stream. Okay, no. Oh, never mind. I'm not risking it. My internet's really bad. Or maybe I'll open it in a new tab. Wait, can I? Wait, what? Okay, yeah. I can make variations, right? Yeah, the rematch offers was sent, but I don't know what the status of it is yet. We are on the TV, so we'll get notified if anything happens. So yeah, rook at g1 here. Oh wait. Sorry, my internet. Okay. Okay, I'll come back to this after the match ends. This sure something is loading. I'll just say that. The rematch has been accepted and it's still loading. I'm gonna refresh. Oh, hey, for fun, let's check what the ping is. Oh, disconnected, huh? Oh, okay. My ping is 600. So typically when I normally play, it's like 130. Okay, let's go through this game. Okay, so this time he takes a knight. Last time he faced this, blitzbullet played bishop d3. So he takes a knight, immediately drops it on g3, plays c3 to force black to use the pawn on d5. h4 to force h5, and now the knight can hop to g5. Or f4, because this bishop's a bit weaker now that there's no h takes g6. So white looks like white's doing really well here. Wait, what? Oh, and I just missed a few moves because I'm lagging. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, white's position looks really great here. White's threatening bishop at f7. Also, white can castle, and this rook has a really nice open f file to work with. Oh no. Okay. Okay, good. I was worried I missed a few more moves. Hello, dinosaur. Sora. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. I do live in Central. Yeah, but I mean, my internet is pretty bad. Like, when I try to play games, I think I was trying to play the yearly Bullet Arena or something yesterday or a few days ago. And when I was watching a Twitch stream concurrently with the Blitz Arena, my ping shot up to like 2000 and I couldn't play a game. But it's always like every 5 games or so. And it's always when I'm about to win. So just like sensitive in the background. Hey, are you about to streak? Yes? Oh, let's disconnect this guy. So Spinaltap earlier was forced to sack his queen just to stop this threat, which is already like looking really bad. Now he's looking for possible play. So blitzbullet doesn't really have any play yet. He could try to drop a queen here and fork these two, or bishop. Might be the next thing to do. Bishop b7 and then take c6 and then get in on the d7 square. Instead puts a pawn here because he wants to go bishop c8 and get e6, which also looks good. Meanwhile, Spinaltap just like just feels over. I don't know. This knight on e4 covers all the important squares, so black couldn't drop his bishop earlier. And this bishop also controls some dark squares. So without a heavy, like white can just hide a king on f1, let's say, or e2, and just be totally safe. Ah, okay, 120, 130, that makes sense. Did you say I have an ox? Oh, okay. Now blitzbullet is going for the rover, so it's a famous opening. a5 and then rook a6 for the fans. Spinaltap immediately says, okay, well I guess that's where my rook goes then. But I mean, this rook is a bit vulnerable and it doesn't do too much. Like bishop at b7 and oh, I guess it's fine. Why has to go rook a7? Rooks look so sad. Okay, so this is like the e6, b6 French position, except black has an extra bishop and white has an extra rook. So whether that's good for white or black will be figured out soon. Generally in the French, black rook on e8 does nothing, but the white bishop on d3 is usually placed on like d3, and it covers the e4 square. So it feels like black's already slightly. So black's position is definitely easier to play. So the idea of knight b4 is if white takes and black takes, I'm fighting for control of this square by kicking this knight on c3. If white doesn't take the knight on b4, I might even just take c2 and drop a pawn on b4. Yeah, blitzbullet is really strong with the initiative, I feel. Hmm. I mean, he gets good enough positions with g3, so I don't even need to worry about other openings. Okay. So neither side wants to deal with this situation. Blitzbullet is actually offering a repetition here because if white goes queen e2, black will go bishop back to a6. And if he gets 5.5 to 4.5, he wins the match. Okay, so Spinaltap finally takes the bait. So blitzbullet gets 2 pawns for a knight. White could try to go like knight at a8 here, or knight at a6 to try to target the c7 pawn. Or white could go knight e5 and try to sack on f7. Might be more interesting. Like the queenside, we can see the queenside is very well defended by this bishop here. Okay, Spinaltap trades rook for a bishop. So in Crazy House, this is a trade because they're worth the same number of points. In normal chess, this would be like an exchange sacrifice or whatever. Oh, I see in the chat now, or maybe it was earlier. Is this theory? My knowledge of this opening ends on move 2. So that's the amount of theory I have. But some people are known for having like 20 move variations on really obscure lines. I'm not that type of person. Anything is theory if you want it to be. If you played enough and you know it well enough. Okay, so Spinaltap uses the bishop for defense to cover these light squares, which makes sense, as light squares were pretty weak. And blitzbullet goes in. I don't know if this is sound or not. Looks fine. This king is still pretty covered. Although with this move, white can actually take on d6 if he wants. Here, it's better. I don't actually think knight takes f2 is that good. Because with 3 pawns, he doesn't have enough material to keep attacking. Right, like if he tries to drop on g4 now to continue the attack, white can put a knight on h5 and start a counterattack immediately. So blitzbullet is trying to get a knight. That's the purpose of because if he doesn't have a knight, he just doesn't have any play. Rook takes b7. Not sure where you're suggesting rook takes b7. I'll call you fanatic because I don't. Not sure how to pronounce your name, sorry. Yeah, so one knight doesn't do anything. White's really safe here. Now we see all of a sudden with the darkboard bishop gone, black's dark squares are starting to look a bit shaky. So you can see white's going to try to get in on this f6 square by pressuring the g7 pawn, which defends it. This is a common way to attack. And white can just ignore this knight. Like, just take, yeah. And then knight at f6 is the threat. So then black has to drop a pawn on e7 to defend. But now, white can drop a knight on h6 and win the rook. And that threatens checkmate on f8. We might be headed to overtime. I'm not 100% certain yet, but this is looking really rough for black. Unless blitzbullet spins some magic in the next minute. Yep, and we have overtime. Or, okay, the better term is tiebreaks. 5-5. So the rules, the way tiebreaks work, you need to win by 2. So the players will keep on playing pairs of games, like one white, one black, until the score is not 1-1. We see the same opening again, except this time Spinaltap does not play knight e4 that early. Okay, but this transposes. Oh, into the other line. I think blitzbullet won this game. There was a similar opening, right? With like knights on here, here, and here, and then black played like queen h4 and white went queen g4. Oh, but the bishop wasn't on f5. Okay, so that might be a bit different. Oh wait, it was on f5. I went to g6. Yeah, so once again, blitzbullet gets a position out of the opening that just looks so good for white that I don't think I don't think this is theory. Or it feels like maybe black missed something along the way. I'm not sure. Or maybe I am overestimating white's chances. So one of the problems in the French is that by playing e6 and d5, black, and allowing this pawn on e5, black has pretty weak dark squares, especially after trading off this dark square bishop on c3. So a common way to attack that we saw in the last game is knight h5, attack g7. You can drop stuff on like g5 and f6. And black is really uncomfortable. So black it needs to like immediately set up some counterattack to have a chance at holding on. But I mean, even here, like black's doesn't look like it's gonna get anything. After it takes, white can go bishop takes f1. This bishop will cover the white squares. Unless he's greedy. He could be greedy. Or he could try to get rid of the knight. It's one of the attackers. And so he's greedy. There's a one-move checkmate threat of queen at e7 that he might see this game. So now there's a trade. This bishop for this knight. So the question is, does black have enough? Because if black doesn't have enough, white's plan is pretty simple. White wants to play pawn at d7, knight at c5, king takes knight at c5, and then queen at d7. And there's some mates here. And then, yeah, there should be some mate there. We'll just assume. So black covers the c5 square, so there's no knight at c5 check. But also removes one of the major attacking pieces. So now black has a pawn and a rook left to attack this king. So this king is probably safe. This isn't enough material. Meanwhile, white can just slowly build up the position. Yeah, so it seems like the queen sack might not have been. Oh, this is interesting. And so black is able to force a knight. Okay, bringing another piece into the game, but now white can go knight at g7. So the question is whether or not that is good. I don't see a problem with it. I guess it's not immediately mating. There's no mate there, so it's probably not the best. So white gives up some knights. There's always a risk of black somehow mating. I don't know how. I don't see anything. Because white's king has a bunch of squares that black needs to be able to control. Okay. White can't go here. White could go here or here. White goes king of 2. Now black could go rook at g2 check, and then take and take. That's probably bad because the bishop loses control of c5. So black goes here instead. Now another question. Black goes rook at g2, king f1 takes. Does white have mate? Oh yeah, no, white definitely has mate. This doesn't work. Knight at f6, king takes, queen at d7, takes, bishop at g5. Oh, that's faster. And then knight at c5. And e8. Yeah. Okay, strong game from blitzbullet. Now he just needs to not lose this game. So how did he lose the last time? Oh yeah, he played a5. Oh, okay, well that explains that. No, he also lost the last Fiat Shadow game though. Okay, so Spinaltap will be thinking, should I take? No, probably not. Okay, so we get the same game as, same position as game 8, where Spinaltap won magically after a really closed middle game. So this time blitzbullet opts for knight at g4, trying to trade off the bishop, and also just putting a knight on the board. If we really wanted to trade off the bishop, we could go like knight h5 next move, although white can go bishop h4 after. And then after bishop h4, there's g5, which could potentially be bad. So okay, so blitzbullet takes. Now Spinaltap has a choice. I think f takes is better. Because if h takes, then there's potential like bishop at h2 ideas. Oh, and we see the thematic c5 takes d4 to open up this diagonal. I think blitzbullet played this in a previous match against someone. I don't remember who though. He won a nice game. I think it was Jeremy Jordan. No, wait, that wasn't his opponent. Yeah, okay, I just don't remember. So it says, okay, I'm not going to allow you to get at the diagonal so easily, but then gives up a knight for it. So knight for bishop. Black's attacking on the dark squares. White's attacking on the light squares. Who gets in first? It's actually looking pretty good for Spinaltap. Let's see. No, it looks even. He'll have to move the rook for sure. Does he? Wait. Takes. Rook f7. Pawn at h7 check. If he goes king f8, there's knight at e6, winning the queen. Oh, this could be good for white. Yeah, okay, so pawn takes f7. Rook takes, pawn h7, king f8, knight e6 is the idea. You can't move the knight because the bishop's covering it, but you can drop a knight because there's only one defender. So on pawn h7, he'll have to go king h8. And the question is, does he have any useful discovered check? Yeah, he does. He can go here. Alright, he's safe. I don't know, this still looks pretty risky. So, like, this is one of those situations where, like, black has an extra everything. Black has a lot of material, but the king is unsafe. So the question is whether or not it's worth it. Alright, so knight at g6, king h7, knight takes c7. Isn't that just me? And then like bishop g8 and knight f takes g6. Can I make moves? No, I can't yet. So it takes. And then bishop at g8 and knight g6. Knight covers this square, bishop covers that square. That looks like mate to me. Okay. So he has to open up the back. He has to open up the back ring to stop that idea. I spoke too soon. Okay, so now blitzbullet has to see his observe mate, and I think there is, right? Look, h1 takes. Okay, the last time I said there was mate, there was not mate, so I should be more careful this time. No, no, wait. That had to be mate. Oh, blitzbullet can go queen takes f2. Queen takes, and then rook at h1. King takes, knight takes f2. And then, like, something at h1. There's mate there. But queen takes f2. Right? Is the first step. But he has time, so he'll spend his time. Or not. Very brave. Huh. There's no way. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So we're on to our second tiebreaker step. So they went 1-1 in that set. So now they play again. Yeah, no, blitzbullet definitely had like a something. By the way, I'm sorry if hopefully my stream isn't down. It says it's up, but it's not loading. That was interesting though. Okay, so now what happens? And now Spinaltap plays bishop d7. He's like, okay, I gotta switch this up this time. So this is the, I guess, the opening idea for this opening. Get a pawn on f6, covers all your dark squares for you. You don't have to worry about dark squares for a while. And you also get an extra pawn, so you gotta start attack first. So now Spinaltap had a knight to drop on f3. That would be checkmate, but he does not. Okay. Hello. Not sure if that's more as common if white does. Took. A lot of things happened. So he took, and then knight g2 to bring the rook over, and then knight f3 to win the queen. So now what's the material count? Black has a queen and a pawn, and white has 2 bishops and 2 knights. So white's still up in material. So white has, so in these sort of positions, like black has an extra queen, but white has more material, so white gets enough time to consolidate, white is better. But if black's able to like somehow cause enough problems, then black could potentially win. But here it looks like white's doing very well. No major weaknesses. All the squares are covered on the second rank. This knight, white doesn't have enough to worry about it. Just launches a counterattack. takes, bishop e3. Or if king d7, maybe here. If king e7, white can... Oh, yeah, if king e7 or king f8, white can even try to draw out black's knight by dropping a bishop on a3 to check. And this is another idea in Crazy House that's not so often seen in Bug House, because here black has a fixed number of pieces in hand, so he has to use one of them to block. So now you can't use the knight for like a check on g2, for example. You have to use it to block. Oh, okay, perfect. Thinks okay. So yeah, blitzbullet has a really comfortable game once again, as white out of the exact same opening for the whole series. Okay. Yep. White sets up a nasty discovered attack. White's threatening to play one of these two moves. Probably this one. This one looks scary. Or honestly, I mean, the other use of this is you don't have to move your knight immediately. You can just wait. And then if something scary happens, then you can use it as a counter, like here. Black says, take that bishop. So this is where white might want to go like, yeah, knight e6, double check, king e7, and then white deals with this threat. Here, white doesn't need to take the queen here because the queen can always be taken later. It's more important to get rid of black's play. So you can see black doesn't have a way into white's position, right? Oh, white does have a way into black's position, but he's not using it. Spinaltap down to 30 seconds. Well, blitzbullet has not used a minute yet. There's not really a way to tell how strong people's internet connections are, so can't make a comment on that. Okay, so now he gets the knight for the knight g2 idea, but it's not even that scary. White can just play king d2 or something and be totally fine. Then you might be wondering, oh, what if knight c4? Oh, but the knight's pinned, so there's no knight c4. Okay, but yeah, there's even enough time to take the rook, and once this bishop takes here, that frees up the f5 square for white's knight, if white ever wants to use that. Like he does here. And then king up, knight at g7, so he runs over first. So now how does white continue? Ah, okay, so white makes sure the king is safe. Now, since Spinaltap doesn't have any knights, can't drop a check here. So that's why white's not really like dropping the pawn on d3 to cover, because there's no risk for now. Well, you can do it if he feels scared at any point. blitzbullet drops a knight instead. So now you can threaten knight at c5 check as a way to get into the king. These knights cover a bunch of squares. Oh. That might not have been... yeah, that was a mistake. So he blundered something. I guess he thought that knight at c5 wouldn't work, so he just decided to cover instead. I mean, it's still very safe here. You can see he's got all this protection around his king. The only issue is black's king also has decent protection. So Spinaltap is still in this. Though I'd say blitzbullet is still pretty much favored here. Okay, d5, clearing out the d4 square for the knight. What knight, you might ask? The knight that's going to be dropped on d4. Pawn c6, knight e6, pawn d7. The knight will control these squares, and the white's pawns will control all these squares. So together they control all the possible squares that the king can move to. And if the black king ever runs to b6 like he does right now, then white can go pawn a5, pawn b5. Let's mate. Okay, so blitzbullet will take game 13. Can Spinaltap come back? Okay, blitzbullet changes his opening, so he gives up the fianchetto, which must be pretty sad. Or must be saddening. In favor of a more symmetric structure. This is the other common opening that you see after d4, the one that most people play, like I played this. So Spinaltap plays an early h4, trying to get h5 in. So usually what happens is when you play h4, the g3 square is a bit weaker, but here since there's a dark squared bishop, then you don't have to worry about that too much. Blitzbullet goes knight h5 to cover. And usually if you put a piece in front of this pawn, that renders it like pretty much useless. So Spinaltap will try to dislodge this knight so we can keep pushing the pawn. So I'd probably drop another knight on h5. Or I'll go bishop. One of the two. Pushing this h-pawn can be really annoying to face when the king is castled. Especially because like a pawn on pawn h6 is a common idea, and if white can get that with the h-file open, oops, it's even more threatening. Okay, so Spinaltap brings this knight that was doing nothing on c3 and tries to bring it over to the king side. Like knight at f4, let's see, is an idea. Bishop at g4 also common. When you push the f pawn like this, then this weakens the pawn right next to it. So white immediately passes on that. Okay, blitzbullet defends this, but now his dark squares are suspicious. So this is one of those positions where if black had an extra pawn, then you could actually drop it like somewhere and do fine, but doesn't. So white's fine for the moment. And later in the game, these dark squares can get potentially really weak. Like Spinaltap can drop a pawn on g5 right now. So these bishops are a bit sad because like they feel like pawns. And they have no future. They're just used for defense. But they're still pretty good defenders. They can sort of see like, the dark squares look a bit weak. Or not this one. Let's say these two. Okay, meanwhile, blitzbullet got a nice queen a5 check in. Now he's going to start sharpening the position up a little bit. Trying to open some light squares. So white has the dark squares and black has the light squares. It's not going to amount to much yet because he can't really do much with one pawn, but let's say like if I had a knight, that would be pretty cool. Or even a bishop. Bishop here would be really nice. Again, pin the knight to the queen. I can attack the rook, control a lot of squares. So Spinaltap doesn't react to like this sort of attacking move because it will only help black. I think it's better, or at least when the bishop was there. The queen there, it's more important. Well, the bishop there, like if he move the bishop somewhere, that's like one tempo. That's really you could use to instead cover some squares. So he's thinking about king g2, but on king g2, black might be able to take one of these pawns and drop a pawn on f3. So black has the initiative here. But of course, if he takes and drops on f3, then white can also avoid taking. Try to win the square back. It's a pretty sharp position. Blitzbullet plays here, blundering knight at d7 check. Oh, or not. Okay, well they're pretty tired, so it's like pretty late into the match, so. Okay, so both players go for queenside pawns to try to use on the king side. The only problem with this is like if one side goes for the queenside pawns, like does pawn grabbing, and the other side goes for the attack, the side that goes for the attack usually wins. But okay. So Spinaltap is once again targeting the e6 pawn. He's also threatening to pawn drop on e7. He's threatening a bunch of different things. He's claiming that his king is safe enough. And it does look pretty safe. This knight covers g2, h3, and e2. The bishop also covers these light squares. So blitzbullet plays f5, but Spinaltap has enough time to even threaten knight at e7 check. It's like a discovered check. So blitzbullet drops a pawn on e7. This is a common way to defend against like a knight check. You usually drop a pawn there, so then if white captures this, then white can't drop a knight on the same square. So it's sort of like you sacrifice a piece for tempo. So one thing Spinaltap can do here is drop a knight on c6 to once again threaten the same idea. He instead does this, which isn't a check. So this is more committal. Now blitzbullet has to find a win, or he's gonna face a lot of pain. Yeah, white has a mate threat here, so black has to find something. So knight takes h4, and then if king back, then knight at f3 and pawn g2 is a mate idea. So black has to go up. No, wait, no, but he gets mated still. Knight at f5, takes pawn h5 here, knight g2. Wait, no, that's not me. No, bishop h5. Here, pawn e5. Oh, where that? Okay. Good games. This pawn h3 idea, or this h3 idea to block the rook's control h4, this is very nice. Congratulations to blitzbullet and good games. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. I'll figure out how to stream sometime, hopefully. And then I'll look at this game. Okay, wait. Give me a moment. Okay, let's see. Let's look at, what was it? No, was it this game? Okay, so I think someone in the chat saw it, but I didn't read the chat. So I'm gonna have to figure this out myself. With the help of chat. Yeah, so the question was there mate here? Because Spinaltap won this game. Because blitzbullet didn't find mate. This is actually, generally, practically speaking, this is pretty hard to do. Or this is like a big chunk of Crazy House. Like, you have a bunch of pieces, but you don't know if you have mate or not. Okay, so there. So this is all forced, right? Because white's threatening rook takes f8, and white's gonna mate with that. So black has to give a bunch of checks. Here, pawn f2, queen at d2, bishop at e1. So here I was thinking pawn at f2, because at least you can promote, right? Like, but then I missed king g1, so maybe this doesn't work. Oh no, maybe you might be able to go takes. Right, and then you get a new pawn for h2, and then the rook goes to g1. Ah. But then, like, if you go like king here, then you can go rook g1, take, and f1 queen. And that's like pretty much mating, I think. But I think I read in chat. Oh yeah, thank you, PKR, Chuckleton. I think I got everyone at some point, hopefully. And someone was saying that king f1 was holding. And this does make sense, because after, like, say, here and here, you don't have a blocker, or you don't have a knight to mate with. And if you go, like, takes, and here, now white can go king f1 safe. Oh, yeah, white can go king f1 safely. Which is really annoying. Was that it? Did I get it? Let's see. No, I did not. Yeah. Here I was suggesting bishop takes f2, right? Because the main reason here is you want to go knight g. Now you threaten knight at g. Knight takes g3 again. And white needs 2 tempi to start something. So you have a free move that you have to use wisely. Because with this amount of material, you never know what white can do. Does it? Okay. Look at h2 as mate. Oh yeah. That was the other thing I was looking at. I actually mentioned that on stream, so I am proud of myself. I didn't actually calculate it though, I just assumed. Okay, so what's the idea? Takes, I think you want to go knight takes f3 check, right? And the reason for this is, okay, so let's do some calculation. So if I were to calculate this, I'd be like, okay, rook takes here, and the reason for this is I have this bishop hook. So now white has to take, right? Because if white goes king h1, then I can drop a queen mate. Takes. Oh, okay, or now, knight takes f3 check. No, that's not it. Is it? Okay, well, this could be an idea, or this. I get my rook back, but now I have a knight to work with. So that's really useful, right? I can go like pawn here and then knight here. Yeah, that's me for sure. Like if white tries to run left, I can go pawn f2, queen comes to, what's this? Sorry. It's gonna look bad for the VOD. Yeah. King g1, pawn f2, and queen g1 coming next move. Or if white runs to the left, like queen here, pawn c2, and rook b1. Sort of like a ladder mate. Okay. So yeah, this could be a nice puzzle to give out, like just starting from here. Black to move a mate. Because the common idea, like there's a common idea sometimes where you go like rook g1, and you put knights like here. For example, if the bishop weren't here and the pawn weren't here, there was like a mate setup like that. But it turns out to not work in this case because black runs out of pieces and white's rook defends everything. But yeah. Are there any other games to look at? Oh. Oh, this is annoying. Okay, I am. Wait, let me see. Oh no. Ah, there we go. Wait, no, that's not right. Ah. Okay, well, I don't have an easy way to access all the other games, so we'll just end the stream here. Thank you to everyone for tuning in and watching this, and stay tuned for the candidates, which is coming up, which is actually starting like right after this match. The candidates, once again, there's 13 people who play a round robin series to determine the next challenger for the Crazy House World Championship. I don't have a list of people who are playing. Maybe I do. Let me check. Give me one moment. I'll find a link. Never mind, stuff is glitching. I'll just end this stream. Thanks again for tuning in, and hopefully this was interesting too.